my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave. Got a pretty good show for you today, I think. Got a variety of stuff. There are days that it amazes me how many different topics we talk about here. And I think this is one of those days. As I mentioned yesterday, Sue left out this morning for going to Ohio to pick up the grandkids. That was just a brain stoppage right there. It just stopped. Anyway, yesterday was Sue's birthday. We went out to Colton's Steakhouse last night for dinner, and it felt extremely weird to me to eat a whole meal for dinner. I don't do that anymore. I haven't eaten a real supper in a very long time, actually. Anyway, it felt kind of different. But we got up early this morning and we cleaned the rentals, and I'm going to show you a little video on that in a minute. And we cleaned those and got those ready to go because we got guests coming in, and both of them yet this evening. I take that back. One of them this evening. I think the other one's not coming in until tomorrow evening. But regardless, we got them ready. The first little thing I want to show you here, this is just a random, bet you didn't expect this video. It's just something that happened, so I grabbed the camera.
We don't get many rabbits around here, and you never see them in a place like this. Look at this, there's two of them sitting right there at the corner of my little parking lot out in the driveway. Isn't that bizarre? You just don't see things like that here, especially with all the dogs and things. Amazing. I guess the brush piles are working.
Yeah, used to you didn't hardly find a rabbit around here. I mean, there was always one or two, and that's about it. But the population is slowly increasing. And for rabbits, that's weird because they reproduce pretty fast. But around here, there's so many predators and so little cover. Even though the woods is not. That's not the home of a rabbit typically. Rabbits don't live up in the woods. They live in fields and, green areas and things like that. But in those fields and green areas, if it's cut short, there's no way they can live there because they're going to get killed. A hawk's going to fly down and get them, an eagle, something. Or a coyote will just run them down and catch them. Coyotes are fast. They can actually outrun a rabbit in just a straight run, So anyway, the point is the brush piles, I think, are working because over the years, we've steadily seen an increase in rabbits. And I'm going to continue to make brush piles. I think it's a good thing. The next, by the way, just on that topic of animal habitat, I'm just about to pull the trigger on another project. You've seen back in the back of the property back there, where I find the caves and that pond that's back there. Well, up on those higher hillsides, there's still field type hillsides, but they're just brushy fields, but they're not conducive to certain kinds of wildlife. For instance, they're not conducive to quail. Now, every once in a while, I'll hear a quail around here, and I haven't heard one in years, but just a week or two ago, I heard a bobwhite quail back there. I was trying to mimic that the other day on the vlog, as you remember, and I couldn't whistle. But anyway, the bobwhite quail are very scarce anymore. Back when I was a kid, you could go almost anywhere and flush a covey of quail. Not anymore. I mean, like you rarely ever even hear one ever or see one. So I'm about to pull the trigger on a major project back there of disking all that ground up and planting weeds and things that are actually quail conducive. You know, it'd be probably maybe be 8 or 10 acres worth of stuff that are more, you know, apt to draw in quail. You know, they have to be weeds that produce little seeds and things that quail eat and stuff like that, you know, and then also that they can walk through, because they can't walk through fescue. Anyway, that's something that may happen. I'm really on the edge of my seat about it. Let's see. Okay, well, yesterday afternoon I told you that I might try to build that rear sight for that pistol that Nellie gave me for doing all this work on these instruments. She just gave it to me. Well, here is the original wonderful plastic rear sight. Can you see how beautiful that is? Piece of junk. It's a, you know, it doesn't focus, and it probably won't. And if I get it to focus, then it won't focus back on me. So maybe I shouldn't do that. But anyway, it's just a piece of junk. But it's kind of a complicated piece of junk. There's a lot to it. There's like a little slot there, you know, and a little hump, and, you know, and this part's higher, and, you know, it's just, and there's a hole, and then there's a pocket, you know, there's a lot to it. So I thought, well, you know, I think I found just this piece for around, with shipping and everything, around $30. Well, I mean, they don't normally sell just this piece. You typically have to buy the base to it and that, and it's over $50. But anyway, I thought, you know, for a piece of junk plastic that'll probably break again, do I want to pay $30 for that? No, I don't. So a lot of you will think that I'm crazy spending the hours it takes to make something like that. But we're going to talk about that in a second too. But here is how it turned out. And by the way, I have this opened up, the chamber's open, and, you know, you can see I've got it on safety and all that. But anyway, this is, that is the sight that I replaced right there. In other words, this used to go right there, and you can see it there. Now, it's a little shinier black than the rest of it, but I don't think I care about that. But anyway, it worked out perfectly. It was quite a job doing that, and it took me probably close to 3 hours. And you might say, to save, you know, $30, you know, doesn't make sense, right? Well, let me explain the math to you on this. I made the rear sight for the pistol. It took me 3 hours start to finish. 2 hours of raw video footage was filmed during that time. I've spent 3 hours this morning editing that raw video footage. A half hour of finished draft is done. In other words, the first half hour of finished first draft is done. But I still have another half hour of raw footage left to edit. It will take me another hour or two to edit that last half hour of raw footage. So now I'm into it for how many hours, you know? And then you think, then another 2 hours or so for the second draft, because I got to go through it twice. You can't just go through it once. It never works. And so you go through it the second time, and then you also have to upload it and do the thumbnails and all that. Well, the part would have cost me $50 if I'd have just bought the whole thing and called it good, right? So did I save any money, you know, by doing all this extra work? Well, then you got to stop and think about the other side of the coin. The video will probably bring in a couple of $100 over the next month. I mean, it might bring in more than that. You never know on a video. Sometimes they don't do as well as you think, and other times they do way better than you think. So but I think I can safely say it'll bring in a couple of $100. So I got my $50 back easy enough. Technically, I made $250 if that's the case, because I saved the $50 and I made another $200. And then over the next year or 2 or 3 or 5, it'll make more money, you know, and who knows how much it'll make over the long haul. So was it worth it? You know, I don't know. This is what I do for a living now, so I think it was worth it. It's just in how you look at it. But you know, there'll be all kinds of comments in the video that says, "You're an idiot spending that much time to make that little cheap plane, you know, to fix this. Why didn't you just spend the $30?" There'll be those kinds of comments. You know what I'm saying? But now you won't be making those comments. Because I don't know. You know, I had to do something anyway for a video, right? So that's as good as anything I can think of. All right, so let's see. Here's another little video I put together for you this morning.
Yeah, I've got the lights off in there today. I'm doing some video editing, but I thought I would take you on a quick tour of the rental apartment, and the reason is we have a guest coming a little later today. I did help Sue clean both apartments a little bit this morning because she is headed to Ohio. But I thought it's been a while since I've showed this, so I thought I might as well show it again. And you can see this is just a little efficiency apartment. It's pretty decent. This is what makes out to be your table. There's stools. And let me turn some lights on so you can see around in here. Then there's a small bathroom, and this is the shower. It's not real big, but it has just about anything and everything you need. You know, a refrigerator and a washer dryer and, you know, nice countertop. And there's your coffee pot. Everybody wants coffee except me. And then again, here's what it looks like from in the kitchen. I think while I'm at it, and since it's been a while since we showed this, I'll go up and show you the other rental retreat and walk you through that real quick. So we're up at the rental retreat now, and we'll take a look at this one real quick. Just a quick cursory look. It's a really nice, big, great room type setup. Sue has it decorated very nicely, and you know, she keeps it super clean. And there's a small little, just a guest bathroom or whatever, if you will. And then in here is the upstairs bedroom, and nice full-size bathroom in here. It's a tub shower. And then if we go downstairs, and all of this was rough sawn oak. I built I built this whole building, but I built these stairs, treads and everything too. And then this is now the game room, and just kind of like a family room or whatever. Just a hangout room, if you will. Used to be my recording studio. The sound down here is just incredible. It's so dead that it's hard to explain. The carpet on the walls and this grid pattern. The grid pattern is really the thing that kills the sound, believe it or not. So anyway, here is the other downstairs bedroom, and it's really big also. And basically the same layout. There's a washer dryer in here, and then you can see, if I turn the light on, you can see even better. So there you go. I think I'll just go ahead and shut the toilet lid. I don't know which way is better. Is it supposed to be down? I would say it should be down. All right. I didn't even turn the light on in here for you to see it, but I guess there's enough light coming through the windows. Well, that's your grand tour. I'll just remind everyone that While I have retired from working on instruments, I have caved in and said that if you come and stay at least one night in one of the rentals, I will work on your instrument for, stuff that's not too complicated, like, as an example, a setup or a buzzing problem or things like that. Well, and here's your view. This tree used to be really little. It's getting pretty big now. That's a redbud tree. And here's your view of the pond from here. And let me see if I can zoom in on that. So there's your pond view, and there's the water wheel house. Some folks said put the water wheel on this side, but it just logistically couldn't work that way very well. I mean, you can make anything happen, but that would have been a huge amount of work. It was already a huge amount of work. So we left it like that. And here's the old house, and again, I don't know whether that thing's worth fixing or not. The termite damage in the floors is so bad. I just don't know. It's a shame because it's otherwise a pretty decent house.
Yep. I don't have nothing to do ever. Let's see. I think that's most of it. Okay, well, I made one more find yesterday afternoon. I was only out for a few minutes. And you're going to be let down when you see this, but to me, it possibly could be Civil War. I don't know, that it is, and I doubt that it is, but the romanticizing part of it, you want to think it's Civil War. It's more than likely some old farm tack or something like that, but you just can't say for sure. I got to tell you, I know it's really old for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's made out of heavy material. And number two, it's got the patina that just says this is really old. I'm just positive it's 1800s or at least late 1800s, maybe possibly early 1900s, possibly. Okay, all it is this. And you say, well, that's really a letdown. I get it. It is sort of a letdown. But you look at it, and it's smashed. It's not perfectly shaped anymore. It probably was perfectly shaped at one time. But you can see that it's the end of either a belt. It's like the very tip end of a belt that it covered. Or possibly, I thought possibly the end of a sword scabbard is what I was thinking, with the Civil War. Or possibly the end of some military horse tack. Now, the reason I say that it's military, possibly, it's possible it's homemade, but I don't think it's homemade, and I'll tell you why. The reason I say it's military is because how heavy it is. It's a thick, heavy piece versus and that's also why I say it's old. If it was modern, meaning like in my lifetime, if 75 years or less old, it would be much thinner material. They just would stamp it out of some little cheap junk stuff, and it would be way thinner and way lighter. This is heavy, thick brass or copper or something. And the other reason I don't think it's homemade is because when you look down in this slotted area right here, there are serrations. There are teeth in there on both sides. And those teeth would have pressed down into the leather and to keep it on there, And a homemade thing, you probably would not have gone to that kind of detail. So it was stamped out on a machine, I think, and then folded around some piece of leather. Well, anyway, I'm just curious if anybody has any ideas, if you think it could be or not, or if you think it's something else. I want to find Civil War stuff, so therefore everything I see has got Civil War written on it, I get that. I get that. It's wishful thinking is what it is. But on the other hand, there's a lot of clues that it's really old, and it's, and the patina on it is just really old. You can just tell it's super old. In fact, I couldn't. I scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed, and with soap and a brush, and you still can't get all the stuff off of it. And so, anyway, that's what I thought. It just possibly could be Civil War. I don't know. Just don't know. Well, I got a couple of more instruments to show you for the auction. I mentioned these yesterday, but I didn't show these yesterday. This one is the, let me get the other mic over here first. This one is the Jasmine, it says Jasmine by Takamine. This is the one that has all the tuners turned backwards. So I hate stuff like that. But, it's just the way it is, and I'm not going to change it. But all the strings are wound backwards on the post. Anyway, it's a nice guitar. It's really, again, they're just almost new, almost. I mean, there are very, very, very few scratches on most of these instruments. I mean, I don't see any scratches on this one offhand, Very good shape. I'll lay that one down, and then I'll pick up one more here. This is a Harmony Monterey, and like all harmonies, its action's high, They just all are. I mean, you won't find a harmony, I don't think, that doesn't have high action, unless somebody like me's worked on it. I didn't do anything to any of these instruments. I just, took them out of the case and tightened the strings. That's all I've done. So this one, the bridge, can't show it very well here. But you can see the bridge is leaning forward, I think. It's leaning forward quite a bit. Anyway, but the action's a little high. But I think the bridge feet could be taken down on this. And, you could also slope those bridge feet back where it wouldn't be leaning forward. That would help lower the action. At the same time, you kill two birds with one stone. And otherwise, I mean, it's pretty darn sound. I don't think... Oh, yeah, this is the one that's got a little bit of the binding in the back is coming loose right about in here, but not terrible. Like most harmonies, the neck joint might be loose. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but it looks like it could be a potential problem. But otherwise, it's it's pretty decent guitar. It wouldn't take a whole lot to make it a pretty nice guitar of this style. I am not a fan of this style guitar personally, because it's just not the kind of music we're into. But, if you're into that, this might be the guitar you're looking for. And let me see here if I can find it. I didn't get this out ahead of time, but let me see if I can find the spreadsheet here and tell you what I had on those. I might have a little trouble finding it. Oh, I put down for the Jasmine Takamine, I just put down $150. That's not a lot of money. I think it's an all laminate guitar, but it's pretty decent guitar for a laminate guitar. So, I mean, if you were to get it for $150, I think you'd be getting a pretty good buy. The other one, where did I find that one? The Harmony Monterey, I think is, yep, that's the Monterey, and it's, I had $250 on it. They sell a little higher. There's a lot of people that collect those Harmony guitars. I don't know what the draw is, but there is a lot of, draw on those things. So anyway, that's what the story is. But even $250 is not a lot of money these days. So, but I just put those prices on there just as a median type price. I don't know that we'll get that, and I don't know, that may be too much, may not be enough. I just don't. Those are just kind of medians. Let's go to the comments. David Thorpe is in there. Howdy, everybody. Brian Byler, afternoon from Northeast Ohio. Ronald Todd. Let's see. Joe Nigan says, fun afternoon. Let's see. Ronald Todd. Good afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Bank of New Jersey. Raining steady for 2 days now. Wow. Seems like you guys on the east are getting more rain than we are even. B.H. Ringer. Good afternoon, everyone from Nova Scotia, Canada, our 51st state. Just teasing. Bill Rhodes, good afternoon. Dottie Hildebrand, praying for everybody, and appreciate it very much, Dottie. And prayers for the country, she says. We need it. After we went live, Bill Mumbo and Ronald Todd, Dottie, and then I'm looking for the question marks. Don Nice says, Jerry, I like to wish everyone a great holiday weekend and safe one. It's raining here for 2 days. Yeah, it's Memorial Weekend, I guess, and I was thinking about my song I wrote. It's called D-Day Revisited, and I may be doing that in the near future. Kelly Manna says, you forgot to mention that the site you built will last longer than that $30 piece of junk. Boy, isn't that the truth? I mean, this thing here, you just look at it wrong and it breaks, This is milled out of solid aluminum, and it ain't going nowhere. It's there for the long haul. Yeah, you could drop that. You might dent it or bend it, but you're not going to break it. Let's see. Sidecar Bob says, there are lots of rabbits running around everyone's backyards around here. Yeah, I'm fully aware that rabbits are everywhere, but they're not here. And it's mostly because of the way pastures are treated in these areas. They're turned into fescue. Animals can't get through the fescue, the small critters. Now, rats can, field rats, it's perfect for field rats. They love it because it makes a cover, and they just crawl under it, But rabbits and, quail and things have a tough time getting through fescue. They really do, especially because it's so thick and it's they just can't walk through it, So anyway, my brush pile idea and changing I wish we could just get rid of all the fescue and put stuff in there like orchard grass, but it's really hard to get other kinds of grass, as JR's finding out. He's really finding out the hard way. He's spent big bucks on trying to change his pastures, and the fescue just comes right back, It's really hard to change. Let's see, moving on down. Randy Rogers, and he's going to be here next week bringing me more instruments. That's a perfect thing. That's just what I need, more instruments coming in. Anyway, looking forward to staying next Wednesday and Thursday nights, having a little work done on our guitars. Well, I hope it's a little work. Let's see. Don Nice. Yes, I agree. That is nice yellow shirt. You guys are all colorblind. Let's see. Simon Jardine. In the UK, a small toilet and sink room, usually within reach of the front door, is called a cloakroom, traditionally meant for visitors who needed to hang their cloak due to business on arrival. There you go. Well, I don't know how close to the front door that is, but it's in that area. I basically just didn't have anything else to do with that little spot. I could have made a closet, I guess, but people that are staying in a rental need closets as much as they need bathrooms, So there you go. Put a bathroom there. Let's see. Moving on down, Sidecar Bob says, when I was a kid, they put metal tips like that on the belts with toy cowboy guns. Yeah, I agree. I had a really neat 2-gun set. Yeah, I remember that distinctly. And again, that was real cheap, thin metal, and even on your better ones, there's good cowboy belts made with those tips and things too, but even those are pretty thin metal. This is not exactly thin metal. It's pretty heavy duty stuff here. It's the whole thing, it's got some weight to it. Bruce Ducker, luminant equals plywood. I think you should mean laminate. Yeah, laminate is plywood. That's for sure. That's what it is. And typically that's what I call it, is a plywood guitar, but everybody likes that buzzword laminate, but to me, laminate is a kitchen counter, and a guitar made with multiple plies of wood is plywood. That's just me. Kelly Menace, aren't those wheel things on the bridge of the Harmony Monterey to adjust the height? Yeah, but they're all the way down. So you can't go down any further once you get to the bottom, and that's where they are, and it's still too high. So you're going to need to take off the bridge feet. Let's see. And then Bruce corrects himself on the laminate thing there. And I get it, fat finger things, and when you're talking into the phones too, they always get the wrong words. Dottie Hillenbrand, praying for the Sue's safe trip to Ohio and back. Well, thank you. Yeah, I told her, I said, because she gets sleepy so easy. And I begged her this morning. I said, look, if you get sleepy, just pull over and take a nap. I said, it's way better to get there an hour late than it is to get there dead, Anyway, we'll see. David Tharp, I went to the bank and told the teller I'd like to open a joint account. She said, okay, with whom? I said, with whoever has lots of money. Well, that's the obvious answer. Why did they even need to ask you? It doesn't even make sense why they would ask. See, B.H. Ringer, in Canada, provinces are the same as states, and there are 10 of them plus 2 territories, so U.S. could add 10 states and 2 territories. Yeah, that would be fine. I'm okay with that. Me, I'm not necessarily, it's the hype. Trump has to say stuff the way he has to say it. Just because he's a jerk, really, if you get right down to it. But he has to say it the way he has to say it, just to make everybody mad and make it an impact. To me, it just should be, I don't see a negative in it. I mean, I think the overall idea is pretty good, actually. I really do. I think it would be wonderful if there was some sort of a union or joint, where everything is combined. I just think it would be awesome. I think it'd be better for both of us. But anyway, that's just me. But I don't think you have to insult them by saying it's the 51st state. And I agree. I knew that there were, multiple provinces. I didn't know how many, but, 10 makes sense. Anyway, so in case any of my Canada friends are taking offense, I don't mean it as offensive at all. I mean it more like a joint venture thing. I think it would just be awesome. Well, anyway, Ronald Todd says, hey, Jerry, do you happen to know Country Poor, Country Proud? I don't. It seems like I might have heard of that once or something, but I don't know that. Let's see. David Tharp, did y'all see in the news where a biker who identified as a cyclist won the Tour de France? David, you are messed up. Let's see. Sidecar Bob, still waiting to hear that the U.S. wants to become the 11th province. That'd be fine with me, too. I don't care. Call it whatever you want. Randy Rogers, I sent you an email offering to reschedule our visit if this catches you at a busy time. My schedule is flexible. No. There's no need to reschedule. I'm of the belief of just drop and do. Just like if something pops up, I just stop what I'm doing and I do whatever it is that needs to be done. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm totally inflexible like that. And Hanson, we can't form a tighter friendship with Canada by talking like you want to annex the country. Well, that's your opinion. It's all in how you say it. It's all in how you do it, and to me, like if you heard what I just said, I'm not saying take them over. I said it would be wonderful if we could form some sort of a union. I think it would be great. I still do. I ain't going to change my thought on that. Gino Hitch, today is my birthday. Cold, overcast today. How are the shingles looking? Well, the shingles are sitting because I ain't got no time to work on them right now. It's kind of good to take a week break from working on all that mess. But anyway, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gino. Happy birthday to you and many more. And Dottie says happy birthday there. Did you sing it, Dottie, like I did? Well, I hope you sang it better than I did. Gino says, looking forward to the music tonight. Yep. Well, I've got your list of songs that were requested already, and that's going to more than fill up the time. So I know one or two of these. Yeah. Right now, I know one of these. The rest, I know of the rest of them, but I've sang the choruses in groups with other people, but I don't know the songs. I've played them all, but anyway, I'm going to see if I can find the words to all those, and we'll try to do those this evening. Dottie says, no, I can't carry a tune. Well, not even if you had it in a bucket? That's an old-timer saying around here is, he couldn't carry a tune if he had it in a bucket. Yeah, well, there you go. Guys, I will see you, I'll see you this evening, about 7 o'clock, and I'm going to get back to working on this video, and if it's possible, I'll get that released for this evening also. We will see you later. Thanks for being here.